Brian Laudrup reached out and wanted to get his points across. And basically, Brian Laudrup has made it clear. We've got the story up online just now. It'll be over the next couple of days. There's a couple of parts to it in the paper tomorrow as well, part 2. But basically, Brian Laudrup has made it clear that he is preparing to fly to Glasgow this week, and because, he says, he wants to be there to support Barry Ferguson and to be seen to support him. I'll read you some quotes that we've got from the piece that's just gone up online just now. And he's talking clearly about, he feels that Rangers have lost a sense of identity. He feels that a succession of different managers who don't really understand the DNA of the club have contributed to this sort of degrading of standards. Now, bear in mind that Brian Laudrup's a guy who played for 4 years at Ibrox under Walter Smith, the greatest of them all. And I think what he's trying to say in this is that Walter Smith understood the club inside and out. And I think he feels that kind of generally over the years, that sort of connection has been lost, which is why he's, really endorsing the interim appointments of Barry Ferguson and his backroom team. And I think he makes it quite clear in this interview. I think he would like to see them get it on a more permanent basis. Obviously, I think he makes the point that Rangers have got a couple of very important games, and if it goes well for Rangers against Fenerbahce on Thursday, and if they put on a decent performance against Celtic on Sunday, I think at that point he feels that Barry Ferguson would be a genuine contender. And I think it's something he would like to see. Let me read you some quotes, Daniel,
Sure.
that we've got up online just now. So he said, "When I first joined Rangers, there were numerous Scottish players with big profiles. Maybe at times there's been something lacking in terms of that Scottish backbone and players that know what it means to play for Rangers. Perhaps we haven't seen that leadership quality from this team. So I think the appointment of Barry Ferguson points to a better future, at least in the short term. But I'm really interested in what it could be long term, I have to say. And that's one of the reasons why I'm coming over on Thursday. Obviously, coming back is always fantastic, but this time it's about showing that commitment and support to Barry Ferguson. I think he needs that at this moment. It was a bold move from the club to get Barry and his guys in, but it was also a very brave move for these former players as well to come back at a very difficult moment. It could go horribly wrong, but at least they are trying, and that's why I feel I need to be there as well. At least being there, it's about showing we are behind you. Hopefully you can get this right in a very difficult moment, and then we will see what happens next season." And that's a little kind of hint that, he thinks they may still be around. He goes on to say, in the piece that we've got up online just now, that he believes that Rangers might repeat the run to Seville of 3 years ago. He says, "The Europa League is there for the taking. We have seen Rangers reaching that final recently, so why not? That could happen again. So there's a lot at stake in this season, and I'm rooting for this management team, and I'll certainly be there to show them my support on Thursday night." So, you don't often hear from Brian Laudrup, but he feels suitably motivated to reach out and deliver this message and make it public. And I find that interesting. And I actually get a lot of what he says as well, that when Brian Laudrup joined Rangers, I think it was in 1994, you had that backbone of Scottish guys. You had your, Ali McCoy's, Ian Ferguson's, Richard Goff's, John Brown's. They were all around the place. And these were guys that kind of connected to the fans and were able to educate the new arrivals of what was required, the standards, etc. And Brian Laudrup makes the point that because the game has changed in the way it's changed over the years, Rangers don't have that sort of identity in the playing squad. So I think his point is here, well, do you know what? If you can't have it in your playing squad, have it in your coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense. And I'm inclined to agree with a lot of what Brian Laudrup has said there. But again, it's you have to factor in the fact that, you know, Rangers have got 2 massive games over the course of, 4 or 5 days, which could reshape the whole argument where Barry Ferguson is concerned. It could enhance the argument, or it could destroy the argument. And I think that's the point that Laudrup's making. But I find it's interesting. I'm sure the Rangers fans will be interested to find out that this guy is so interested and so committed to this that he's going to fly over to be at Ibrox in person. Interesting. It feels like a real interesting moment. And I think there'll be a lot of former players that would be nodding in agreement with what Brian Laudrup was saying in this piece and in tomorrow's.
I mean, you're talking about one of the best players to ever play for Rangers.
Yeah, well, that's exactly that.
This is a guy whose name does carry weight. And Johnny here in the comment section says, hey, if Barry's good enough for Brian, he's good enough for me. Laudrup was rarely wrong. So, I mean, I think that kind of encapsulates the respect that they'll have for pretty much any of Laudrup's opinions on Rangers.
You said it, Daniel, and if you were to look across the city for a comparison, it would be a Henrik Larsson, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And he's revered by the Celtic supporters. And if Henrik Larsson felt motivated to come out with some sort of message in terms of the direction he felt the club were moving in, and of course, there's nothing for Celtic to complain about. There's no need for Henrik Larsson to ride to anybody's rescue. But it's not that way at Rangers. Rangers have got themselves into a mess. And the piece that I write with Brian Laudrup tomorrow, he admits he's hurting. He might be sitting in Denmark, but he's hurting at the state that Rangers have got themselves into.